of the Pro Mazda series. Here on Christmas Day, we don't get to fight over a Christmas turkey or Christmas Day, we get to fight over a Christmas lobster. 24 cars will take the field today here at this 1 mile circuit. One of 3 ovals on this racing schedule, and one of the more unique tracks. No IndyCar or Pro Mazda car has actually raced here before. A track similar to this will be the Milwaukee Mile. It's a very flat oval in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, different banking everywhere on the track. It should be a very exciting one here from Loudon. My name is Jonathan Burke. Alongside me this week will be Paul Smith. Tom Davis is out on holiday right now. Tyler Maxson is doing the camera work, and TV cameras provided by iRacing.com. And here's a look at the track. Again, just over a mile. And it's simulated in the summer, 104 degrees. The track temp, it's going to be slick out there for these drivers. 81, the ambient temp, partly cloudy, a light breeze. So a lovely summer day here in the simulated Northeast. Right now, it's buried underneath a couple feet of snow. And this is where I get to bring in my co-commentator, Paul Smith. And Paul, this is a very different oval that we tend to see the 1.5 miles or some short tracks, but this track, even for the NASCAR drivers, can be tricky. What are you expecting for this group of 24 here today?
Hello, everybody. Yes, it's going to be an interesting race, is this one. It's a tricky track to race around. Unfortunately, I've not driven the Indy Pro around here. I've only ever driven a Skip Barber around here, so I've not got that much experience here in the much better car, in my opinion, the Indy Pro. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. We've got to keep it clean. This is going to be a key matter for the drivers out there. Keeping it clean, keeping it out the walls, and keeping out of each other as well is going to be key towards taking victory here today.
It is a tricky track. I remember last season, me and RaceSpot's Dylan Coyle were in the same race together on the IndyCar side of things. And in those faster machines, even with their more downforce, it's even harder in the corners to really get the throttle down and get the power up. That's going to be key today. And any passing opportunities are going to have to come down the straightaways after the draft. So we're going to have to see how much passing can be done. Qualifying just about to wrap up. We have a minute left in the session. Currently, Olson Walsh is sitting at the top. This is also a reminder that this is the first race for the Pro Mazdas that is using the new licensing system. So they'll be going off of the I rating of the ovals, as well as the safety rating. So the numbers may be a bit different for some of our favorites, and maybe a bit different for some of the regulars as well.
Yeah, these drivers, it's going to be a good, interesting field here. A full grid as well, which is tremendous to see out there. One of my fellow streamers, Robert Plumley, is in this race, so let's see how the Brit copes with this oval. But Olson Walsh, always been a tremendous driver here in the Indy Pro 2000. And Josh Chin right up there with him, Bryson Frank as well. So there's some really good names up there at the top of the standings just in qualifying alone as the clock will tick down.
King of Chins in this race. He's the highest rated one here, currently lining up P2 but alongside Olson Walsh, and the gaps in lap times not that big, only about 1.5 seconds between the whole field. You can see our graphics having a little bit of an issue as we advance the session and head to the gridding phase. And let's get a look at our grid. Olson Walsh takes pole position, and the King of Chins himself, Joshua Chin, is alongside him in P2. Bryson Frank in P3. Jack Ashton from Fordzilla in P4. Looking down the order, Shane Sewitz from California in P5, Frank Newen, a frequent here, in P6, Andrew Barry and Thomas Zeiger sharing 7 and 8. Robert Gambill, Jacob Ruiz from New England, Tom Hanthy, and Richard Swalsey rounding out these rows back here, 9 through 12. Jason Overton, Stephen Orwell, Jim Schonfield, and Leigh Overton from New England as well. Many New England drivers in this field, nice to see. Trevor Anderson from California in P17, Robert Plumley, who you mentioned earlier, in P18, Pierre Boudon in P19, Clint Stone on the edge of the top 20. Richard Duvall in the 21 position, Rio James in the 22nd, Jason Trudeau, who did not qualify in 23rd, and Hunter Wood, who also did not qualify, rounding out your full field of 24. It will be a double file start. These cars will pour down into turn 1 full throttle. It's going to be about keeping a clean lap 1 and trying to settle in here.
Yeah, when everyone's packed like this at the start, it's just keep it clean, keep it safe. Don't try anything risky early on. You've got 60 laps to be able to duke it out and fight it out here on track. So no need to be in a rush to move forward as the iRacing.com pace car is going to pull away at the front of the field.
Yep, and the field will get going. Tires will be warmed up again. It is a hot simulated summer day here in New Hampshire, so it's going to be slick, which is even going to make this a bit harder on these drivers. It's going to be cooking it down into turns 1 and 3.
Yeah, looking after the tyres is going to be another key thing here, and that's where I would imagine that someone like Josh Chin would be able to do a good job of that there with his experience here in the sim. So he'll be pushing on, but taking it easy, and that's what a lot of these drivers need to do. Take it easy, look after the tyres, because you want those tyres towards the end of the race. That's when you can make some big gains.
So as we round the final corner, pace car will dive down onto pit road. Walsh and Chin will lead the field of 24 down to the green flag, and Walsh is away. He needs to get in front of the King of Chins quickly, and he does. Opens up a huge gap. Now as they pour down into turn 1 using that high line, Joshua Chin is under fire from everyone behind him, but he's able to keep hold of second place. They're still 2 and 3 wide behind him as the field begins to fan out. Look at the back of the field scrambling to try and make up positions as Walsh ahead of Chin. Ashton is able to pick up a couple spots. He's moved all the way up into P3. Is currently under fire from Bryson Frank as we make it clean through lap 1. Top 5 single file out. There's battling all the way back in the midfield though, and here comes Jack Ashton down the inside into turn 1. He's going to open and make it stick, but the King of Chins knows how to make that high line work. They're still side by side. The Forzilla driver unable to get around Joshua Chin, and Olson Walsh is saying goodbye to both of them. He almost has a 1 second lead.
Yeah, these drivers need to be careful. They need to try and keep that draft of the leader right now, but they realise that there could be some cautions in this race, so they don't want him to pull away too far, and you can see the different lines that drivers are taking. Seeing how they're working the high and the low lines, that's going to be crucial throughout this race as this it progresses on, and these drivers, their tyres getting heated up even more and wearing out.
Bryson Frank looks like he's taking a little bit of notes out like Homestead, Miami. He's up against the outside wall trying to find as much speed as possible. He's looking on Jack Ashton, but he's going to try and make it work on the high side. He's going to have enough momentum where the Forzilla driver cut him off. Looks like Ashton will hold the place for now. Frank gets really close to the wall. Walsh has a 1 second lead. Chin has already lost the draft. Here comes Frank back on the outside. Can he make it stick? Is Ashton going to have to concede the place? No, Ashton slides up in front. They almost touch. And Ashton's actually going to have to get out of the throttle. Now they're side by side down into turn 1. Frank making that outside work. And this may be the line to go to for now, but he's going to have to wear out those tires a lot in order to make it work.
Yeah, it's that age-old question of do you go high or do you go low in a race like this? And as those tires wear out, of course, you need to change your line. We've got a caution out on the track. I believe it's Jason Overton who's had an accident out there.
Number 21 and number 11 have both towed. That's Swelby and Overton as the first caution of the race. We've managed to get 5 laps in, and Jim Schofield in the 3 has also come down pit road. Here comes a RaceSpotTV replay. This is back in the midfield, down the inside. I'm wondering if someone just could not make it stick there. Oh, just a sudden turn and a violent impact.
Yeah, I
believe that was the 11 and the 3 machine.
Yeah, that snap of oversteer then was just deadly. As soon as that car, the back end started going out, and as soon as it suddenly switched directions back across. Absolutely nothing that driver could do to save that one. And well, Overton, I believe, was the innocent party in all of that.
He had just nowhere to go for Overton. He just got slammed on the side. And Jim Schofield in the 3 is now on pit road. It's going to be a lengthy amount of repairs. He may just stick around in the session just to watch for a little bit, but pit road is open. Looks like no takers for the time being. And there's a front nose missing, I believe, the 22... Nope, that's the 7 machine of Leigh Overton, who is coming down, as well as Clint Stone in the 8. So it looks like Leigh Overton got a bit of damage from all that debris down in turn 4. We'll have to get a front nose replacement. The rest of the field will carry on.
Fortunately enough, though, that's quite a quick repair, isn't it? Getting a new front nose to get that repair done. So he'll be back out there. I've seen previous broadcasts when we used to present the Indy Pro 2000 on Friday night prime time. We've seen drivers try and make it to the end of the race with front wing damage and on these oval races, and it just does not work out for you at all. So while you've got the caution laps, get in, get the repairs done, and get out again.
Fortunately, not going to be much repairs done to the 3 machine that was buried inside that turn 4 wall. Something I've really pointed out is the new damage model kind of makes these collisions look a little bit harder in, virtual world as they do in the real world, which, makes me grit my teeth a little bit. When I saw that accident, I did get a little bit of a grit, as it looks like we're going to have another pace lap. We'll see if the lights go out. Yep, one more pace. Nope, lights are out. We're going to go green this time by. Single file restarts in this series. So Joshua Chin will have a clear shot at Olson Walsh, but he's got Jack Ashton and Bryson Frank for company. This top 4 has been close, but Olson Walsh really checked out in that first run.
Yeah, he got the jump at the start, didn't he? He really did work the start of the race there, and just the way that he was able to pull away from the 3 behind him was crucial there. I think this one will be a little bit different now that Josh is right there with him and on this restart, and he'll be gunning for him as soon as possible.
We also have Bryson Frank and Frank Newen. 2 different types of Franks in the top 5 as well. Frank Newen is a regular here in this series. Not saying any of these guys are the top regulars. Olson Walsh is one of them. As we're going to go back to green flag racing, the 2 immediately tries to break the draft of the King of Chins, and he does a good job of it. Gets into a 3/10 of a second gap, as now Jack Ashton has a perfect draft going down into turn 1, but really can't do anything with it. Now they're single filed out. It's going to be a little calmer than the initial start, but I think guys are going to be looking to make early opportunities here while the pack is close together.
Yeah, there's more side by side further back, but the guys at the front right now, once again, that alternate line taken by Bryson Frank, so he's trying to make that high line work for him throughout this race, and we'll see how that pans out for him, but the rest of the field seems to be keeping on the low line for the time being.
Was a car in the background trying the Frank line. I believe that was Thomas Zeiger trying the high line. He's looking inside and outside. He's trying to find a way around Andrew Berry. There's really just nowhere for him to go. He's going to power around the outside. Barely gets clear. Good move by Thomas Zeiger. It's the only one really besides that 9 machine of Bryson Frank to really make that high line work as he goes back to the mid line. Now Bryson Frank is trying to use the draft as well. He's up on the back of Jack Ashton as they head down the back straightaway. We're single filed out. Draft is going to be key here and keeping in contact with each other. Chin has done a better job this time on Walsh. Right now, Thomas Zeiger is going to try and chase down Frank Newen. These are 2 that often race week by week. We've seen them almost every broadcast, I think, in the past few weeks. Those 2 going at each other at one point or another in the race. And Newen trying to break inside that top 3. But right now, there's really no good passing opportunities for any of these drivers. They're going to have to wait really until those tires start to wear out.
That's it. Patience is a virtue, and it's one that oval drivers have to show a lot of patience out there on track. Really make those tyres work. We've got a car in the wall. It's Clint Stone. My goodness, is really going up and over.
Clint Stone, heavy contact in the number 8 machine. Looking like he was on a fun carnival ride, but I can tell you right now that was no fun for that driver at all. He's going to go down the inside of the 11 machine, touches the wheels, and just bang into the wall. Nowhere for him to go.
I thought that was Pierre Bourdon, the 14 car, who he went down and got contact with. We'll double check the tape there for you, but yeah, that's a huge instant for Clint Stone. out there, and he's back onto pit road, so he'll be pretty much day done for him, because of course in this series there are no fast repairs, there's no free repairs here, so you've got to take however long it takes. I've just looked back, it was Pierre Bourdon who he made contact with.
Yeah, my apologies, I thought it was the 11 car. Swably is still running, and Pierre Bourdon is hopefully not going to have much steering damage on that machine, although just slight contact will make a difference. And Joshua Chin is peeled onto pit lane. This is interesting. The King of Chins has given up second position, maybe for fresh tires, and here comes the 6, the 18, the 13, the 14, the 7, and it looks like half the field is now down on pit road for fresh rubber.
You've got to take that opportunity, because the track temperature is quite high, and you know, you're pushing on. They've been getting a good number of green flag laps before the cautions, but you know, they're pushing these tyres, and any sort of advantage that you can have towards the end of the race of your competitors, you need to take here.
It's an interesting move though from Joshua Chin, as we've already seen at the front. It is very, very hard to overtake, and maybe that tire advantage will give the King of Chins enough, but he's got 10 cars now in between him and Olson Walsh. It's going to be a tall order, and if there are more cautions, that may even be worse for our buddy in the number 1 machine. Also down on pit road, Pierre Bourdon, who did have that contact, as you mentioned, with Clint Stone. I don't know if he did take any repairs. He comes back out behind Joshua Chin, so I'm assuming not. And the number 6 of Bushid, 18 is all down pit road. Plumlee came down, Overton, Enty, and 14 is back down pit road. I'm assuming for repairs or a speeding penalty, one of the two.
I can tell you, thank you to my sources, i.e. Joshua Chin in the sim chat, he wanted to make an adjustment to the car. So he obviously wasn't happy with how the handling was for him out there. Got himself some fresh tyres, made an adjustment there. So we'll have to see how this all pans out for him.
I'm wondering if he was running a little bit less downforce, assuming he was going to be out in that clean air, but he's been stuck behind Olson Walsh for quite some time. So I'm wondering if he makes a little bit more of a downforce adjustment, a bit of a wing adjustment on the rear, or even the front, maybe. I don't know, there's a lot of adjustments you can do. And a reminder, this is an open setup series, and you can see the drivers taking the different lines. There's tons of different setups and tons of different driving styles, which is one thing we love about this series.
Yeah, it's really good, and even though this is predominantly a road series, having these oval races mixed in really does show these drivers and their capabilities in behind the wheel of the car, and really show how they work the car and work the wheel. So yeah, definitely these drivers, it's a great series to give those different opportunities to different drivers out there.
Now Jack Ashton and Bryson Frank move up into second and third onto the podium, with Joshua Chin coming in for that adjustment. So we're going to be able to see if they can challenge Olson Walsh. Walsh has been the fastest driver on track, 25.7, which is only like, I think, 2 or 3 tenths slower than his qualifying time. So that number 2 machine is flying, but we'll get to see if Jack Ashton and Bryson Frank can challenge for that top spot. As lights are out on the pace car, we are again single file into 3 and 4. Looks like a big gap back to Frank Newen.
Yeah, we've lost Thomas Ziegler. Oh, he's working his way back up, but he had an issue which dropped him back.
So Zyga's quickly going to try and rejoin the field to avoid everyone getting a penalty. As green flag goes back in the air, he's able to rejoin the field back in fifth position. No penalties for anyone jumping the line. And Bryson Frank immediately looked into the inside of Jack Ashton. Ashton closed the door and said, "Oh, no, you don't." Ashton will hold second place, but there's a big run by Bryson Frank. He's going to have to concede the outside, and here comes Frank Newen to the outside of the 9 machine. They go down into turn 3, and here comes Thomas Zyger, as well as we have another yellow flag out. And the action is done. Before we really got started, that was an intense restart. And we'll get to see where the caution is. It looks like everyone is running at the moment.
Jason Perdue has been pulled over on the grass on the inside of the track. Now, whether he was involved in anything, well, we'll get to see something right now on the replay. So, outside line, a little bit of a great reactions from the drivers coming around then, but because he'd ended up in the wall and was spinning round, the caution was thrown. So unfortunately we didn't even make it a lap that time.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the 7 of Overton and the 17 of Tom Anthony that dodged the spinning 20 machine. And they may want to come down pit road, not for a change of tires, but maybe a change of pants after that. That was impressive reaction time. And that just shows you, even at the rear of the field, we have a high skill group in this field.
I was going to actually make a comment before that caution happened. Bryson Frank and Jack Ashton, you see how close those two were running together on the exit of 2. They were getting the front wing end plate was so close to the rear wheel of Jack Ashton, so it was really, really close stuff between the two of them. Here's Lee Overton then, and we'll go right. And that's what it looked like from Lee there. But yeah, the ability of those drivers at the front to be able to keep it really close together, even at full, well, not quite full speed because they were just from a restart, but it was in great close action. This is what we want. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the cautions. So let's hope that touch wood, this is the final one.
Only been 1 to 2 car accidents so far in this race. Clint Stone, who was spinning crazily in turn 4, is now back on the track, and I apologize, that was not the 17 of Tom Anthony, although he had a clever avoidance right behind the 7. That was Robert Plumley, who ducked to the inside of the spinning Jason Pudeau. And again, it just shows you that there is a lot of skill in this field, as 4 drivers have retired so far. We've had 3 caution laps. As we work lap 22, we have at least one more caution lap before we get back underway. Something else to note on that restart is that Nguyen and Zeiger were all over the rear of the 12 and the 9, and that's not good for those two, but it's great for Olson Walsh because he can just ride away without the king of chins right behind him.
Well, Thomas Zeiger had a bit of a run there because he was having to work his way through, so from having a bit of an issue on that last lap of the previous caution, working his way back through so that nobody got a penalty. And it actually gave him a benefit because on the restart he's already at a higher speed than the leaders when they're getting away, so that almost worked out for him.
Reminiscent of, if NASCAR fans remember going all the way back to the Budweiser shootout, Kyle Busch from the rear of the field, full throttle, comes in, passes everyone past the start-finish line and takes the lead. That's a Kyle Busch-esque style restart at the 19 of Zeiger did get after having that bit of a technical issue. But lights are out of the pace car again, and Joshua Chin, he only made up 1 place. He restarted 12th, he's now in 11th. He's got, 37 laps to get back to Olson Walsh, but the way Walsh has been restarting, I don't know if he's going to be able to catch him.
He's being good. He's really, really being good here as Olson. Really solid at the front of the field. So we'll see how he goes on this restart once again. But his restarts have been good so far.
Lights are out. The pace car will duck in this time by. We are single file again. Olson Walsh is going to lead the field down. The Ford Skill driver Jack Ashton right behind him, Bryson Frank. And Walsh again gets a jump, and he breaks the toe. That, I think, has been the key to his restarts, as he gets an almost a half-a-second gap on Jack Ashton as we're a green flag once again. Ashton's going to be under fire from Frank and Nguyen right behind him. Zeiger's close as well. Here comes Frank Nguyen down to the inside, and he's going to get 3rd place away from Bryson Frank. Good move by the 10 machine. He's into the podium places, and Thomas Zeiger now wants a piece of that 9 machine. I think running that outside is proving to be a detriment, as a caution is out again. They're 3 wide there. Joshua Chin is trying to make up as many places, but he doesn't have any green flag time to do it.
It's the 18. The 18 has been around. So Richard Dibdale, and we'll get to see that on replay in a second. But yeah, unfortunately we're in a caution again. We had quite an okay start to the race, but now it's all seeming to descend into caution periods with the odd race breaking out. But here we go, here's the replay. You can see them going 3 wide in front, down into 3, and is this just going to be the back end? Yeah, back end, straight around, nothing that you can do there. And sympathy spin from, was that Plumley, having a sympathy spin there? I don't know, but now, onto pit road. That's Bryson Frank.
Yeah, Bryson Frank has come down pit road. He was getting eaten up alive on that restart, and I'm wondering if he's overcooked those tires and is going to come down for fresh rubber and maybe a slight adjustment. Let's get another replay here. This is the 13. As we see the 18 spinning out in front of him, he takes evasive action and around he goes. And that's, you know, Robert Plummer, that's reminiscent of something I did about a year ago on one of these broadcasts in the Pro Mazda series. We were running at Richmond. It was an accident in turn 4, and trying to avoid it, I spun myself out and got a lap down. So don't, you know, be scared. It is pretty easy to spin these things out mid-corner. They don't have a lot of downforces compared to the Indy cars.
And that's something that appeals to me with these cars as well. You've not got the high downforce and complex aerodynamics of the Indy cars there. It's a very much a simple aerodynamics car, and a lot of the drivers out there, it's using their ability behind the wheel and their ability on the throttle to be able to manage the car and to manage how they run here. That's what really works for you in this series, and I like that because it's more about the driver. Yes, you need to set up the car a little bit as well, but these cars, they can be unforgiving once you start sliding.
You know, especially here, I mentioned me and RaceSpot TV commentator Dylan Coyle raced here in the IndyCar series last season, and it was a bit tricky. Even with a fixed setup, it was a bit tricky to get that throttle down and really had these cars under control in the corner and managing your braking point and when you're getting back on the throttle. So this place is very tricky, especially with the banking. It's not a completely flat oval as it may seem. There is slight banking variations along the track, but it's just really tricky for these guys to get down. And one guy that's gotten down perfectly is Olson Walsh. He hasn't seen much fall off at all from pace, and it's really his competitors that have had to fall off. We've seen the 9 of Bryson Frank get eaten up alive on that restart, and Jack Ashton really not able to challenge that 2 car.
Yeah, Walsh just seems to be doing what he needs to do. And, I mean, these last couple of restarts, he's not really had much to do because he's pulled away, and then by the end of the lap, it's giving a caution. So he'll be hoping for a good run here, and hoping that we could. Well, we're hoping here that we could get a good bit of green action because we've only had 12 laps of green flag action so far.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the laps have been run behind the safety car. However, we're going to be going green this time by. Walsh will again lead him down to the start. And it's going to be key for Jack Ashton to get a good restart and not get overtaken by Frank Newen. It's going to be really his only chance of challenging this number 2 machine. He's led every lap so far in the 2, as here comes the pace car down pit road. Joshua Chin was in 2nd, pitted for an adjustment, is down in 9th. Bryson Frank was in 4th, is now down in 13th as green flag is out. Walsh again to the point is a 0.3 of a second gap back to Jack Ashton, but Ashton is not under fire from Frank Newen, which is exactly what he needs to try and get on with it. Is around the outside. I believe that was the King of Chins looking for a way around. That wasn't a big, bold move right behind him. They're going to go 3 wide behind him. That's Kimball, Orwell, and Anderson in that little group. Bourdon, Anthony, and Frank not too far behind. And the mid-pack is driving like crazy down the inside. That is going to be the 16 and the 4, or excuse me, the 14 and the 4. Bourdon and Anderson fighting. Orwell kind of holding him up. Gamble and Chin right in front. Someone's a bit loose in turn 1. They're going to go 3 wide again right behind him. Looking to the inside. That's Bryson Frank trying to make him spots in a desperate attempt to get back to the podium places.
Yeah, so Chin making the most of his fresher tyres. Of course, had been on pit road, and he's taken advantage of that. He actually dove to the inside and drove down the inside of 2 cars through turns 1 and 2 in the restart. So he's really got the bit between his teeth now. He's not that far behind Shane Stewart, so really pushing on is Josh. And those front drivers now, they'll be starting to feel, well, the drivers that haven't pitted, should I say, will be starting to feel the effects of those tyres. We're all halfway through the race here.
Crossing the halfway point, Olson Walsh has led them all. Jack Ashton is 1.5 seconds behind. Joshua Chin is trying to get Stewart's right now as they go down into turn 3 right in front of Stewart's. That is Andrew Berry. So Chin is knocking on the door of the top 5 once again. He was alongside Stewart's last time by, but unable to get around, as now the pack starts to single file out. We're starting to see a bit more calm. Except for that restart, it was a bit crazy. Chin looks to the inside. Stewart's all the way down to defend, but now with that draft and with that better grip out of the corner, it looks like the King of Chins is going to take no prisoners. This is going to get late into the throttle here in turns 3 and 4, and he is clear well before the exit. He's already knocking on the door of the top 5.
There was a car running slow. Oh, we've got a yellow. Oh, that's not exactly a great yellow. Richard Swavely, I believe, has had a spin out there. But he's kept out the wall, so it was out of turn 4 is this. He'll just get loose. There you go. Well done for keeping it out the wall there.
He was running in that huge fight with Anderson and Frank on the edge of the top 10, and again, that was a great job to keep it out of the wall. There was probably, enough space maybe for a piece of paper, maybe another paper clip if you want to get lucky between him and the wall. But for Joshua Chin and for at least Bryson Frank, the green flag running helped them a lot. As we get another replay down here, and you can see what happens when you lose the front arrow a little bit. The 4 washes up right here, and you just lose it coming out of the corner, especially when you get that power down, and there's really nothing you can do. And what a great slide and save by the 11 machine.
He's done the right thing of locking up all the tyres, though, to keep it sliding sideways, because if he'd kept those wheels rotating, he would have then been pushing to moving down towards that wall. So he's done a fantastic job there to keep it out the wall. We have got takers onto pit road, so that's the 6 car deciding to come onto pit road. Yeah. We'll see what the pit strategy is for some of these drivers now.
Surprised not to see the 11 down pit road after sliding it, but that was amazing. That was an amazing save, because I'm going to be mad if iRacing gave him a 0x for contact with the wall. I'm going to be upset because that doesn't deserve a 0x or even a 2x for loss of control, as he was able to gather it back up. But now this is interesting. Walsh was able to pull out almost a 2-second gap on Jack Ashton. So he's going to have to do something really drastic, I think, on this restart in order to really have a chance.
Yeah, this is Jack Ashton. He's not really had the pace of Walsh. Just having a look. I mean, his best lap is 0.2 of a second slower than Walsh, who has unsurprisingly got the fastest lap of the race here. The next best driver, really, for lap time-wise, is actually Josh Chin. And again, he's about 0.2 of a second off of the best lap of Walsh. So we'll see as more drivers come onto pit road, by the way, and Swavely is one of those drivers onto pit road. So he's decided, yeah, there's a bit too much temperature in those tyres after locking them up, and get a fresh pair of boots onto that car. But yeah, Walsh has just got 0.2 of a second over the rest of the field, and you need to use that draft to try and keep with him. But with him being in the clean air, he's in a comfortable place right now, and all these caution laps are going to be helping him because he's not gone into the pits. It's keeping his tyres in check.
Something else that may also be helping him, you may have noticed that it's getting lighter and darker. Clouds are going overhead. The track temp is falling. It's fallen about half a degree Celsius, not much, but it is decreasing as the race has gone on. And keep in mind also for championship stakes, guys 1 and 2 are the 1 and 2 guys listed in the championship standings for the Pro Mazda community. It's Olson, Walsh, and Jack Ashton. Ashton also has the most podium finishes out of the week. He's ran 7 races. He's finished in the top 3 6 times. So this is familiar territory, at least for the 12 car, but that 2 car just has so much pace at the moment. I'm not sure if there's anything you can do without getting desperate on the restart.
He needs to get the jump here. And the problem is, if you time it wrong, you then have to back out the throttle. And as soon as you do that, you know that the lead is going to just go and leave you for dead. So Ashton really needs to be focused. He needs to be closer to the car in front. He's weaving, trying to get some temperature in his tyres, but now he needs to be on the gearbox of Walsh here and really start getting himself prepared for this restart.
Pace car is going to be in this time by. We'll have 21 laps to go when we hit the line. Ashton is now on the gearbox of Walsh. Sometimes it feels like all these drivers are listening to us. As we go green flag, back in the air. Walsh immediately tries to break the draft. He's swerving back and forth, trying to lose Jack Ashton as best he can. And Ashton holds second as Zeiger is going to go down the inside of Frank Nguyen. Joshua Chin has already made up a place on Andrew Berry. He's clear of him into the corner. The fight for the podium is on. However, Nguyen is able to stay clear of Zeiger, but the King of Chins is not far behind. Zeiger looking to the inside. Nguyen will hold third place for now. There's a comfortable gap back. Ashton looks safe in P2. He's going to have to try and, do the task of chasing down Olson Walsh at the moment. Zeiger getting closer and closer, unable to do anything about Frank Nguyen. But now Joshua Chin has been released. He has 20 laps fresher tires than the two cars in front. He may be on for a podium despite pitting midway through the race.
Yeah, he can sniff that opportunity here, can't he? It's like blood in the water as we see that brilliant side-by-side shot. Chin in the draft. He's got a double draft in front of him. Now, what line do you take? He takes the lower line. You can see that mid-line being taken, two cars in front of Chin, which is going. So, get themselves back into single file. And Chin, look at that low line. He's got the confidence that the tyres are there and give him that position, but he's not quite got the run out the corner. That's what the higher line can give you there, that run out the corner, which can be crucial down the straight. Here comes Chin again.
Chin down to the inside of Thomas Zeiger. They're going to be side-by-side out of turn 2, but again, that run for Zeiger going to prove crucial, but he got to back out of the throttle a little bit, have a little bit of understeer going towards the wall. Chin is going to have the advantage going down to the 3 and 4. He clears him for the moment. Zeiger comes back at him, but now Joshua Chin move him up into P4. Zeiger may come back at him down into turn 1. Looks like that will not happen, so Joshua Chin now up into P4. He's got Frank Nguyen in front of him, with the gap backed to Jack Ashton under a second, so it's still a fight for P2 for Frank Nguyen, but Olson Walsh has just said goodbye to Jack Ashton. He's still running ridiculous lap times down in the 25s as Walsh, and Ashton's in the 26.1s. You can see there's some fall off with some of these guys in the field, but Olson Walsh has no fall off.
Yeah, it helps that he's got that clean air. It helps that he's not drafting other drivers along with him, so able to keep them going. So here we go. Next target, Joshua Chin. It's Frank Nguyen in front, and he'll want to try and clear him as quickly as possible to be able to attack them for second place. Here he goes to the low line, and he keeps it in there. Defend. Yeah, he keeps his nose in there, and that's going to give him the line into 3 and 4.
And here comes Joshua Chin, a brilliant move. Frank Nguyen did all that he could, but unable to hold the podium places, and now Chin is released to go after Jack Ashton. Ashton was able to get a 1-second gap while those two were fighting, so good for them as it's single file out right now through the field. Gaps are starting to form as we have 14 laps to go. Chin has slightly fresher tires than Jack Ashton, but Ashton does have a bit of clean air as Olson Walsh is kind of checked out on the field. And everyone's single filed out for the time being as it looks like we might make it to the end on green flag.
Commentators are cursing coming then.
I will knock on what I can find.
Well, one thing, Josh Chin wants to get past Ashton. He was only 2/10 quicker on that last lap, so he wants to get past Ashton, and then he's got to pray for a caution to give him any chance of fighting with Walsh at the end of this race, because right now he's not winning this race as Chin.
He needs to be ridiculously quick as well.
Oh, new fastest
Never
lap.
mind, I say he needs to be ridiculously quick, and there goes Joshua Chin being ridiculously quick. 25.7, 3/10 faster than your leader Olson Walsh, but he's 3.4 seconds behind, 3/10. Yeah, it's not going to be enough time, I don't think, for that one machine, especially with Jack Ashton in front. Ashton, a frequent driver in the Ivor Series. He runs the Club Cup in the Mazda. He's a very, very aggressive defender. I don't know if he's going to let this one car by without a harsh fight, even on the older tires. That 12 machine is still fast.
Yeah, it is. He's putting in some good laps. They're just going into the 26s now, are the front three, although the lead is still 25.8. That shows the the level of dominance that Walsh has over the rest of the field. But yeah, second and third place in the 26ers net. Oh, I say that. Chin does the 25.9 then. So he's got the bit between his teeth here, and he's got the draft, crucially.
Slower car, a bit in the way there for Jack Ashton. I believe that is the number 20 or the number 11. That is a lap down, as there goes a yellow, and that is just what Joshua Chin may have ordered. Yellow flag comes out. That 3-second lead, Olson Walsh, has evaporated. And now we're going to have a restart with less than 10 laps to go. Oh boy. Is there the Christmas present Joshua Chin has been waiting for?
Well, it was Tom Affett who ended up in the wall on the outside of 2. So we'll get a replay of this then. So into 1 and 2. Try to hold the lines. Oh my goodness. Into just the lower car just pushing up. And that's all it takes to collect one of these cars. Just the merest hint of push, and it comes up, and Joshua Chin giving the little fake into pit road, but stays out there. This is going to be it now. The thing is, they're going to be short on laps here. Chin needs to make the move immediately on Ashton to have any hope of winning this.
Yeah, it's going to be a desperate move on Ashton. It has to be in that first lap of the restart, assuming we do not get another caution. There is no green-white checkered or overtime finish, as NASCAR calls it. We will finish under yellow, as we get another replay here of the accident. You can see down the inside, I believe this is the number 13. Drifts up and just sends it. And the 17 is just gone and sent up and over. That's going to be probably critical damage for Tom Hantley. He's going to have to retire. We've had 4 retirements from this race. Guido James never took the green flag. Jason Overton slammed the wall out of turn 4. Hunter Wood was several laps down. I believe also slammed the wall out of turn 2. And Richard Dupont got in a bad accident out of turn 2 as well. Jim Sheffield was involved in that first caution, is still running several laps down. Clint Stone went for a wild ride out of turn 4. He's about 9 laps down. And Jason Pudeau, who spun on the exit of turn 2 and lost his rear and front wing, is 3 laps down. As right now we have 15 cars on the lead lap. And a reminder to follow us on social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram at RaceSpotTV for more action. We do have another race after this, another Christmas Day race coming at you with the Delaras. It should be a fun one while we wrap up here as we fight for the Christmas Lobster. And you can catch this series every Friday, and we have plenty of action all year round at RaceSpotTV. Just follow our social media for all the info you need. So, what would if you were Joshua Chin right now, what would you do and where would you have to overtake Jack Ashton?
Try and get the jump at the restart into turns 1 and 2 after Walsh after that. You've got that's basically, you've got to try and make that move work immediately, because it's a short lap around here. Fastest lap is a 25.7, so it is a quick lap around here. You've not got a lot of time remaining in this race. You need to just get on it and move immediately as the lights come out.
Lights are off on the pace car. We will restart with 6 laps remaining. One thing that I kind of noted is, Joshua Chin did come down for tires and a slight adjustment. I'm very surprised that of the 15 cars on the lead lap, only the 7 and the 6 machines were down on pit road, and both for repairs. So I'm very surprised that no one has come down for fresh rubber. Joshua Chin has some of the freshest in the field and is currently in 3rd place, looking to steal a win away from the dominant Olson Walsh. So here we go. Lights are out on the pace car. Olson Walsh has led every one of the 53 laps here today. He also qualified on pole. Jack Ashton right behind has been in 2nd place most of the time, has the most podium finishes. As here we go, back to green flag racing. There'll be 6 laps to go. Joshua Chin has the freshest rubber of the 3 drivers in the front. Walsh gets a good jump, but here comes Chin. He's already all over the gearbox of Ashton. Ashton has to defend to the inside. The Fordzilla driver is immediately under fire from the King of Chins. Around the outside goes the one machine. Ashton is trying to hold on desperately, but Joshua Chin has dispatched Jack Ashton. Ashton immediately tries to fight back on the inside, but this might open the door for Frank Nguyen to get back onto the podium places. Chin on the outside, Ashton looking to the inside. There's nothing doing there for the number 12 machine, but he's still within fighting distance of Joshua Chin. Ashton is not letting him go.
And they're not catching Walsh, crucially. They're 7/10 of a second, 8/10 of a second behind, and we've got a yellow as well. Yes, we have. And that's going to be it. That's going to be the race.
Caution flag flies again, and it may be poorly timed, as we only have 5 laps remaining, 4 when we come to the line. There may not be enough time for a restart. And Joshua Chin able to hold Jack Ashton, but Ashton was not letting him go.
Yeah, I believe it was Bryson Frank who had the issue out there. We'll get a look at that in just a moment here. Here we go then. So this is down through the exit of through 1. Oh, he's already sliding there through 1. Oh, rear end into the safer barrier then. And that's
I'm kind of upset that did call a caution, because
yeah.
Bryson Frank was able to hang on to it, and I think, you know, I mentioned that outside line was going to kill his tires, and it definitely looks like it's killed the number 9's tires. He was up here fighting in the podium places for quite some time.
Well, don't forget he did pit as well during this race.
He has pitted, and he is, you know, not able to make up spots as the King of Chins has, as we now have 3 laps remaining. I doubt we'll get a restart, but we may get a... This will be funny if we get a
white flag restart. That'll be interesting. As Walsh has decided to take to the road course at the head of your field. That's interesting.
Is this the pre-Christmas celebration? I think he's assuming that the lights are not going to go out next time around, as will be 2 to go at the line. Walsh is going on an adventure. He's experimenting with the road course. I believe the road course here at New Hampshire has not been driven on in quite some time by any of the IndyCars or Pro Mazda. It might be an interesting thing to think about IndyCar. Hint, hint, wink, wink, if you want to go back to a nice oval or even an oval road course doubleheader that we saw at the Milwaukee Mile several years ago. We'll see. If lights go out in the pace car, I'll be amazed.
Well, the drivers have been congratulating Walsh on the victory, but we'll have to wait and see once the pace car passes the line. And yep, lights stay on.
Now, so 2 laps at the line, so it looks like we're going to be done and over with. Olson Walsh with a dominant drive. He was just untouchable. Even with fresh tires, Joshua Chin did the best that he could to claw back through the field, but again, that late race caution dooming his chances at the end.
I actually have to say, Walsh has to be very careful not to end up getting in front of the pace car here by taking these different routes, because he doesn't want to get himself a black flag.
It's very respectful, though, of Joshua Chin to give himself a big enough gap so that Walsh can come back onto the racetrack after going off into the road course area. But it looks like we'll get the white flag this time by. Lights still on the pace car. And that will do it for this race. And it unfortunately was a caution-filled race. Mainly one-car accidents, though. Nothing big and major to take out many contenders. We still have 15 cars on the lead lap as 1 lap remains. And Olson Walsh, again, dominated. There's just no way to state how dominant that 2-car was today.
Yeah, he class of the field here today, really was, and showed his ability here. I mean, we just got over half of the distance under green flag conditions, 32 laps under green flag conditions, so 7 cautions in total here in this race, which is a little bit of a shame, but still, Walsh, he had to make each of those restarts work. He had to make them work, and he had to push on and really show his class. So every time it brought him closer to the rest of the field, and every time he was able to drive away from the field.
Yeah, breaking the draft crucially on the restarts. and leading every single lap. Olson Walsh comes home the winner. Your championship leader for the Pro Mazda season extends his championship lead over Jack Ashton and picks up a huge win here at New Hampshire. Virtual Lobster is coming his way. Joshua Chin, on fresh tires, clawed back as much as he could, comes home second. Jack Ashton held on the podium for third. It was a good race under green. There was intense action, especially at the front of the field. But again, those late race cautions, I think, robbed us of an excellent battle between Chin and Walsh.
Yeah, there was some cracking action there under the green, and unfortunately we didn't get as much of the green action as that we would have liked, but still, it was entertaining to watch when we were under green. So, dominant display by Walsh, great driving from Chin to make the comeback.
Jack Ashton again rounds out your podium for Fordzilla in P3. Frank Newer in the Canadian in P4. Thomas Zeiger had a very good, consistent drive in the 19 machine in P5. Andrew Barry was up there. Robert Cabal, one of the lowest rated drivers in this field, coming home 7th. Great drive from him. Jane Stewart's in the 16 and 8th. Stephen Orwell in the 15 car in 9th. And Trevor Anderson, we didn't even talk about that 4 car much, in the top 10. Moving on down the field, Jacob Rodriguez in the number 6 has pitted several times, managed to come home 11th. Pierre Boudon was involved in several accidents, unfortunately, in P12. Robert Plumley had great avoiding skills when it came in handy, still comes home P13. Bryson Frank brought out that late race caution, comes home P14. Lay Overton in the 7, comes home P15. Then we get to the lap traffic. Richard Swarvely spun and did not hit the wall. That was probably the most impressive not hitting the wall we've seen in this series. Out of turn 4, comes home 16. Tom Anthony was involved in a crash, comes home in 17th. Jason Perdeau started on the exit of turn 2 in P18. Clint Stone went for a wild ride out of turn 4 in 19th. Jim Sherfield was involved in that lap 5 accident in 20. Richard Zabal came home in 21, retired after an accident. Hunter Wood was involved as well in the lap 10 accident. Jason Overton was that car that went careening into the outside wall on lap 5. And Bordeaux James never took the green flag in the 24th, finishes in 24th. So that was exciting, a little bit of chaotic here from New Hampshire. It was a great action at the front, tons of fighting back and forth through the field, and we were robbed at the finish. I think many of us wanted to see, but it still was a great race from Molson Walsh and a great comeback drive from Joshua Chin.
Yeah, really good stuff. As I say, when we were under the green flag period, and we did have a good chunk of green flag period towards the end there, the drivers really did put on some good displays, really good hard action out there on track, but just a little bit too far for Josh Chin to make that pit stop strategy work after making those adjustments.
P2 still is nice, though, for that number 1 machine. He started P2, pitted, and came all the way back to finish P2. And actually, he's in the interview room, and we can bring him in, the driver of the number 1 machine, the king of chins himself. We might get a chance for an interview. Hey, Josh Chin, this is Jonathan Burke in the broadcast booth. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Well, you put an amazing drive to come back from pitting all the way going down to 12th place to get second position. That late race caution, I think, robbed you of a chance at the victory. How good was Walsh out in front, but how good was your machine on the fresh tires?
Olson was really fast. I don't think I had anything for him. Dirty air seemed to be really big here, more than I expected it to be, and we were kind of the same pace, and whoever had the track position was going to win. And as soon as he got the pole, that was kind of game over for that. And pitting was just to try something different and hopefully get the spot on him. And unfortunately didn't work out with the way cautions were falling.
I know it was a brilliant drive, though. You came back from 12th, back in the field, and it wasn't all under green. You had to do a lot of that on the restarts. How chaotic was that, just trying to move quickly through the field with as little time as the cautions were giving you?
Yeah, the restarts were definitely the easy spots to get that first lap. And then after that, the car didn't really pick up the speed until about 4 or 5 laps after. So the restarts were nice to really try and just chase people down. I know a lot of guys didn't really get good restarts, and it helped a lot being able to set up the pass into 1 with it.
And then describe that last fight you had with Jack Ashton. Ashton was on much older tires, but he was never giving up. How hard did you have to push to try and keep that 12 car behind you at the end?
Quite a bit. He kind of dove me a little bit right there before the caution, and I almost lost a spot because of it. But just got lucky with the timing of the caution. But it's definitely it was closer than I wanted it to be for that. It was just in that phase where the car wasn't really picking up grip, and I was just gonna have to hang on through it if we didn't get the caution.
All right, and you are running for the championship in the series. You're currently fourth in the championship. Probably will remain there after this week. And Suzuka is next week. What are you looking forward for that race?
Hopefully a little bit stronger field on the Friday. This week wasn't really, I think with Christmas, wasn't really a high turnout for that reason, but hopefully get some more points there. Points average has been kind of a little on the low side so far this season, so pick it up at Suzuka and get a good start off to the season.
All right. Well, congratulations on your second place finish. It was a good drive, and we really enjoyed watching you out there, and we'll hope to see you next week at Suzuka.
Thank you, guys.
That was Josh Chin, driver of the number 1 machine this week, coming home P2. And now we get to look at the schedule. This is the first of 3 ovals on the schedule. We don't come back to another oval for quite some time, not until January 15th at Phoenix. We have 2 road courses next, Suzuka and Barber, and that should be very entertaining and good racing.
Yeah, these cars around Suzuka and Barber at Motorsport Park as well. Really, really fun cars. And then Phoenix, it's the scene of a Friday primetime broadcast that I remember where a certain producer in this room right now managed to wipe out a couple of drivers. So thankfully he'll be not behind the wheel for those events, I don't think. But you look at that list of tracks further down. I mean, Virginia, fantastic venue at Virginia. Really fun track that a lot of people don't seem to appreciate. Sebring Course Classic, careful of the bumps. Silverstone, Imola, and then USA Speedway on the road course. That'll be an interesting one.
That's the a little bit of a weird error actually. That's US Speedway Road. That's the asphalt oval.
Right.
It's due to there being that dirt version that our schedule says road. That is not a road course.
Okay.
That is, in fact, an oval on the schedule. So it may say a road right now on the graphic, but it is the oval track that they're running 70 laps there. But only 3 ovals, and it's good for Walsh to capitalize on one of the 3 ovals here early on in the season. But again, with 2 road courses and many famous road courses coming up, it's going to be a really entertaining season to come.
Yeah, absolutely, and finishing off at Road Atlanta, a great circuit for close fighting and action, and it's a tremendous venue. Can it be March already? I'm already wishing my year away, and we've not even made it into 2021.
So that'll do it here from virtual Loudon at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We had a very entertaining battle up front. And for myself, for Paul Smith, our producer Tyler Maxton, and the TV camera spread by iRacing.com, we say so long, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and have a good night.